Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. All right, so hopefully we are about ready. Can you hear okay?
On your obeisances, Dhamma pranams. Yes,
All
I
right.
can hear perfectly.
Okay, perfect. And now I can see some of you perfectly as we're gathering together. So let us begin with an auspicious invocation. God is good. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. And today we can chant Srila Gurudev's Pranam Mantra, and we can chant Srila Guru Maharaj's Pranam Mantra, and then Om Agyan, then Namo Mahavira. So Gurbhavista Supurkam. I think most of you know this by heart. If not, it's the very early pages of the songbook. Gurbhavista Supurkam, Guru Ganaya Rashisha Shambhushitam, Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam, Shri Rupa Pantanugam, Govinda Vidham Ujvalang Paratanang Bhakyan Vitam Sundaram, Bande Vishwa Gurum Chadivya Bhagavat Premno Hi Bija Pradam, Devam Divyatanam Sachandavadanam Balaka Chalantritam, Sandrananda Param Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyam Buddham, Sri Siddhantanidim Subhaktya-lasitam Sarasvatanambaram, Vandetam Shubhadam Madakesharanam Yashishvaram Sridharam. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Mahavarana Krishna Prema Parayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Gora Tuje Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Dear devotees, happily with you all. Back to basics. And today we are back to home. We are here back to Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Vila Govinda, as Gurudev actually gave the full name of the ashram, to go Vila Govinda ashram here in northern Italy, surprisingly in the rain. Well, I'm not in the rain. Surprisingly, I opened the window and it is raining. So quite happy for us, those of you who may know, we've been in the hot, we've been in the heat for some days down in the Rome region. And so coming back to Villa Govinda, everything's very green. And yesterday it's a clear blue sky, blue, clean sky. And in Rome, we could not see a single star in the sky, but can see the moon. We could see the moon and we could see planet Earth. And early in the morning, as we do, early in the morning, we saw the moon setting through the haze, literally watching the moon go down. You can tell that you can see the movement between the moon and the earth, or the earth and the moon, between each two. And you could see the moon going down through the tree. Incidentally, we were on the top floor of flats, and so it had a bird's eye view of Rome and unlimited numbers of television receivers. They're all trying to get the receivers. Or it was a forest of television receivers. So through along the roof of the roofs of the buildings, through the television receivers and the trees, the moon went down. And then very soon behind the sun came up. So it was a very a good reminder of where we are. Except we couldn't see a single star. Interesting, because of the haze produced by humans, I guess, which is hanging over the city. All right, so anyway, here we are. We're back in the BBBC ashram, and we've been trying to take a lesson from every moment of every day, and the lesson also coming back, and very warm welcome by the devotees, and some chastisement by the devotees. Why you didn't tell us you were going to go? We also want to come on the pilgrimage. And then we did say, well, it was a secret initially. So it's a like pioneering thing to see. Is it practical? Is it devotional? Can this be, a nice way of people reaching as well as the devotees' nourishment? So from my side, I can just simply report that lots of things go through our mind, lots of things happen, but we think, why should it be limited to India or India region, India, Nepal? For the mood of Parakram, the mood which on Parakram, there's a lot of walking. In case any of you haven't been on Parakram, there's quite a lot of walking to do. And in India, a lot of the temples, or many, depends where, but many temples, they are on the top of hills. They like to put temples on the top of hills. Well, Italy likes to put its villages and its towns on the top of hills too, which is an indication that they're trying to protect themselves for centuries. It's not just now. They're thinking we need to protect ourselves from invaders. But anyway, there was a lot of advantage to doing the pilgrimage, and I can say that it was a success, and maybe even more of a success than we thought, because in the beginning, really had to try to adjust. Okay, we're on a Christian traditional pilgrimage path, but we were going to where we adjusted it by where Srila Gurudev walked in St. Peter's Square. And we had that photograph with us of Gurudev standing with devotees. And then there's I don't know the name of the technical name, but anyway, in the square. So this was our destination. And timed also to fit in with the International Yoga Day. And in Rome, we have two yoga teachers. Actually, we have, two yoga teachers who are initiated. And so it's the International Yoga Day. We hoped that they'll both be able to come together for our program. But Chaitanya Moy, she already booked up for the International Yoga Day. She already had her booking and said, oh, I can't come. I'm very sorry. But Banavi, then she arranged with some of her students and in a famous park with the famous name. You have to look it up. I don't remember the name. In Rome. And we've been there before. So we were in the park. We did a program for the International Yoga Day. Of course, Bhakti Yoga. And people brought mats. That's the thing when you advertise something as yoga. They bring their yoga mats very enthusiastically. But not one exercise. But we hope they didn't miss the exercise because we did keep them, I think, happily engaged in chanting, hearing questions and answers, and nice talk by Banavi and the devotees. So this is a little summary from here, and all of this is doing the basics of what we're meant to do, which is to remember Krishna 24 hours a day. see things in relation to the Lord, be with devotees, discuss Krishna's pastimes, meet others, tell people about the Lord. And another aspect was we met good people. And another thing, by the way, the public, even like the police and people, when they see you walking on that pilgrimage path, the thing is, a lot of them may think we've been walking for 2 months or something. We hadn't. and Shantimoi even commented, or Shantimoi even commented, we feel a little like we cheated, that we've come to Rome and everyone's like giving us honor for like arriving on foot. And we got, and it's only by coincidence it's sitting beside me. I'm still just using the bag that I traveled. So whatever I'm wearing is on the bag. But we got a testimonium from the Vatican to say we arrived at the Vatican. But Shantimoi, she said, well, we feel like we're cheating because we're with these others who have walked from, not necessarily from Canterbury. There was one, no, we met, actually we met 3 or 4 people who walked from Canterbury, yes. But most, they're doing like 2 weeks, or from Switzerland down, or from some area further north in Italy down. But we did 4 full days. And it was a matter of time constraint, actually, on behalf of the devotees, so that they can get back here, as well as Banavi and Oscar, who are our Roman, they basically inherited Rome, the Rome preaching, from Munindra Mohan and Krishna Kanta. Because when the COVID came, the yoga studio in Rome closed down out of just simple practicality. And Munindra said how the man that they rented it from, he wouldn't reduce the rent even a little bit. And Rome, any city in the world, the rent is high, and it's a place near the center of Rome. So it was like prime property. And the rent was high, that they wouldn't reduce the rent even a bit. And so with 0 income from yoga, COVID closing, they had to close the studio. And so, and Munindra and Krishna Kanta, they packed everything up and they came here back to the ashram. And they actually said, oh, it's Krishna's arrangement. The owner had such an attitude, because now they put the whole energy here. But that means also that now the weekends are very important to be able to keep the ashram running. Because it's Europe, you have expense for everything in Europe. And so anyhow, this way we came back in time for the lunch program here. The others cooked, but Madhurananda Prabhu and Shanti Moy, the 2 key persons for the kiosk, the vegetarian kiosk. So time, place, and circumstance. We only had 4 days to walk, but we got this experience at least. Anyhow, many things we can say about that sometime or another. But here's Paramananda Prabhu, he's been on many parikramas. Here's Kumkum Devi Dasi, she's been on many parikramas. And I can say something like Kumkum too. She's practical lady, and she knows that we are coming to Guru, we are coming to the holy places, we're coming to do holy things, not to disturb others. We'll come, as Guru Maharaj says, with our bed and bedding, not that we will impose ourselves on the Guru when we come to here. And she would come to Srila Gurudev and bring from America her own, not bed and bedding, that's happily supplied, but she'd bring her own folding stool, little chair to sit on in Gurudev's veranda. So she's practical, not able to sit on the floor, but not wanting to impose that, oh, I need a chair to sit. She brings her own little chair and she'd put it beside the pillar, and she'd sit, and not a high chair, but just sufficient to be comfortable to sit. So an example too of being practical. Yukta vairagya. We are not renouncing things which are necessary for our general continuation. And at the same time, we're not imposing upon others. We try to manage our own necessities like that. So first, Kumkum Didi, after giving you such an introduction and remembering you coming to Navadvip for many parikramas, but as you wish to contribute, we humbly ask.
My Dandabat Maharaj and all of the Vaishnavas here, the association can't be beat. And it's so sweet to be remembered, but it's also practical for all of the devotees to gain some understanding about what Srila Gurudev's mood is. And, if somebody needs some accommodation, then that's to be taken care of. It's not a path of renunciation or austerity or torture. Ironically, in my much younger years, because of injuries, I could barely walk. And now in my 70s, I went through enough exercise, and so now my balance is good and so many things like that. So this life is not predictable at all. But throughout whatever the situation is, if we have the grace of the Guru and the Vaishnavas, and we have the desire to just keep making some progress, then it's completely delightful, regardless of what's going on with the body or anything in the environment. And because Sunday is the 24th anniversary of my husband's departure,
Oh,
I'm thinking of him so much, and there's hardly a more beautiful tale of his actual passing. And I tell that all the time, but there are many things that a lot of people didn't know, but I do, since I spent so much time with him. And what I've been thinking of a lot today, getting ready for tomorrow, is my very favorite lesson that I learned from his example. And it covers so many different points. And that is that it was about, it was about 74 or so, 1974. And he had, for a few years, had been accepting this very unpleasant job of driving all by himself over about a 6-state area, very far driving, in order to sell incense at just various shops. And that would support the entire temple, which was in Dallas. And so he would do that because it was the necessity. But when he would go back, he also acted as what we call the temple commander. Now I believe we'd say manager. And that could include giving classes. It was certainly a lot of association. So he much preferred that, because when he was out on the road, he would sleep in this van that he had made into, he had put a shelf to sleep on. Underneath was this incense that he had to store. And then he would just drive everywhere. And it was terrible. And of course, in driving meant, even though there were a couple of books published by then, but he couldn't read, maybe just a little bit before he fell asleep at night. And so it was really unpleasant. And so he thought that the idea occurred to him that he could ask Srila Prabhupada if it would be okay to start a business in the Dallas temple and doing the same kind of thing, but it could engage other people who weren't completely engaged, because quite a crowd was growing there. And then he could do all of his other temple services at the same time. And of course, he would be much happier to be not completely alone for maybe 6 weeks at a time. It was very difficult. And so he thought that next time Srila Prabhupada comes, I will ask him. And so when that arose, he was very happy to be able to be granted association in Prabhupada's quarters. And the temple president was having a conversation with Prabhupada. And he happened to say, and my husband was waiting, and the temple president happened to say, Prabhupada, I don't think I can do this service anymore. I'm not suited for it. And he said, what do you mean? And he said, I don't do well in a city. I prefer the country, or especially the ocean. That's how I like to live. And Prabhupada was very grave. He was very dependent on this person. And he was very grave, and he said, you pick one service and you make that your life. And when my husband heard Prabhupada say that, he took it as the answer to himself as well, because he knew that the service was needed and that Krishna was in control, and he would make some other arrangement if necessary. And so he became ecstatic because he felt that he had received direct instruction from Prabhupada without even having to say something, which would have perhaps been disturbing to Prabhupada. But all of a sudden, his difficulties in the traveling didn't matter to him at all. And so he went back out the next time, and shortly before he left, he happened to receive this gift from someone, which was, we had little cassette tapes at that time, audio only, and that would go in his van. He could turn those on while he was driving. And this one tape happened to have, on one side, it was a children's story of Prahlad Maharaj, but told by children and very animated, but it was still very sweet. But on the other side, someone had put the recording of a devotee reading the letter from Shyamananda Maharaj, who spent time with Srila Guru Maharaj. No, not Akshayananda. Srila Prabhupada brought one of his early disciples, who was a sannyasi. His name is Achyutananda.
Maybe.
Yes. And Prabhupada brought him to Guru Maharaj. He was inclined to be rather scholastic and wanted to really dive into the special kind of environment that was Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat. And Prabhupada had brought him there, and he had asked this question of Guru Maharaj one day, and it was recorded and made into an article in the Back to Godhead magazine. And then that was read into this recording that was the gift to my husband. And they named that article The Descent of the Holy Name. And the article is so beautiful. The question was, if the holy name is transcendental, how is it that we, with this mouth and this tongue and these ears, are chanting it? And Guru Maharaj's answer came for all of us who heard it, but for my husband, who had nothing else to listen to all day, every day for weeks, committed it to memory very easily, and it became the sum and substance of his understanding of Krishna consciousness, Guru Maharaj's answer. And there are quite a few lessons in this pastime that he had, and one is that the name, it starts an old Swami in Navadvip. I was seated on the roof with an old Swami, and he didn't say his name. But when my husband heard the whole explanation, he knew for a fact, this is my guru. And so it's a very important understanding that he simply desired to serve him. He had no hope of ever even knowing his name or how to find him, or he couldn't give him a donation or anything. But that solidified his understanding of who is guru. And he's in my heart. And when your heart is that certain, because the message is so purely transcendental and beneficial, then there's no explaining, it doesn't require logic. You don't have to be dependent on, well, in the future when I meet him, I'll be happy. Nothing like that. He simply received. And so he loved to, he would often just quote bits of that. It's rather lengthy, I think maybe 15 minutes, but he would just, so many things around the house, he would remind him of it, and he would just start talking about it. And then when, by the grace of Shyamananda Maharaj, who became Sagar Maharaj, we learned of Srila Guru Maharaj, and he persuaded him to come and visit there. And let's see, 74 plus 8. 74 plus 8 is 83 or 82? 82 was when he made his first pilgrimage to Navadvip Dham. And by then he had heard a lot from Goswami Maharaj and from Sagar Maharaj about the glories of Srila Guru Maharaj. And we were all very excited, but he was the only one in our family who went the first time in 82. And so he had a wonderful, wonderful experience, of course, and his heart was very satisfied. And then it was real quiet one hot afternoon, and it suddenly occurred to him, seated in Navadvip on a roof, and an old Swami answered this question. And he suddenly understood that this was his guru way back then, when he hadn't had any idea, as far as logic and education and all. He didn't have any of that, but now he was united with him face to face, and tears shot out of his eyes. They went really far, and just thinking like that. And almost hit Guru Maharaj. And he asked Guru Maharaj, he said, did you speak this to Achyutananda? And Guru Maharaj, this must have been about 15 years after Guru Maharaj actually answered that question. But Guru Maharaj telling my husband, yes, and he asked this, and this is how I answered it. He just immediately remembered every point and said it exactly the same. So that's one of the most important points that we all learned from that story, that Guru is Krishna's gift. He's internal. It's not a political thing. That's why they had left Guru Maharaj's name out of the article, because they didn't understand how to politely, or was it diplomatic, to mention somebody else as a guru. Unfortunately, we were just too much neophytes and thought there was some sort of protocol. But so now we understood that it's far beyond anything like that. It's simply reality. It's simply our best friend has been sent to us to assist us.
And Kumkum all this while referring to my husband and the name of my husband. And actually, I think the protocol is the wives don't mention the name of the husband by name. I think there's something like that in the Vedas.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyhow, I'll step in and say, her husband's name is Rishabdev Prabhu, Shripad Rishabdev, who we had also the fortune to know, of course, in completely different relationship. Like you see in this world, there are different rasas. There's a wife and a husband. There's a junior to the senior, the friend to the friend. There's so many things in this world. So we knew also Rishabdev from his Texas hat, energetic, jovial, sincere, enthusiastic nature. And we saw him also when he was thin, energetic, sincere, enthusiastic nature. In his later years, he was quite thin. That's one thing. And just another comment. So Rishabdev, she's mentioning, and today is his disappearance day. And I don't remember the year, but we were right there. We were right there, along with Mandakini Devidasi, Kumkuman Rishabdev's daughter, one of their children. She was there. And she'd been looking after him for this time. And Rishabdev Prabhu, and exceptionally, he called to Srila Gurudev, and he did not impose himself on Gurudev. He asked for his permission, said, I know that I'm due to die soon. The doctors, at that time, Gurudev said the doctors had given 2 weeks to live. They said, two weeks expectancy. And Guru Maharaj, then Rishabdev, talking with Gurudev, saying, Gurudev, I'm asking your permission. My wish is to come to Navadip and to leave this world in your presence. Can you grant me that permission to do so? And Gurudev considered and said, yes, Prabhu, you can. So, and he explained, I will not come to make this, to make an imposition. My daughter is fully trained, and in America, fully trained medic is a fully trained medic. They're not just, they know how to help somebody into a wheelchair and out of a wheelchair. They know all the ins and outs. And Mandakini, their daughter, is a fully trained medical person. I think chiropractor is her speciality. But she came and looked after him, so there was not a disturbance to Gurudev. Mm-hmm. And his passing away was also, was really quite amazing. We were there. And he could have passed away any time within 24 hours of any day. For several days he was on the verge of leaving his body. And Gurudev, during the last days, he would come to visit him in his room in Navadip upstairs in the Centenary Memorial. He would come to visit him in his room. But for the last days, it was for like a courtesy visit, you can say, coming for a short while in the morning and maybe the afternoon. Probably he came in most afternoons, but not necessarily every afternoon. But he would come to him in the morning and, sit with him. And Rishabdev, who was not able to move around or walk, so, bedridden. And then this morning, but this particular morning, then Gurudev went, and he would spend just, some time with him. Not very long, maybe 10 minutes, those last few days, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, what can be done. And then that morning, I was with Gurudev, we went together to him, and then, Gurudev is there, and Rishabdev, looking very peaceful, by the way. He was just straight on his back, a little elevated, but he was looking very peaceful. But still in his body, still there. And then Gurudev came, and then we're there a little while, and then we're coming away, and I'm with Gurudev, we're walking away. And just as we're arriving at the top of the stairs, to go downstairs in the Centenary Building, somebody, I don't know which body, but one of the devotees came running literally to Gurudev. Said, Rishabdev, going to leave his body. Going to leave his body. And Gurudev said, how do you know? He's going to leave his body. So quickly came back to the room. And then Rishabdev is there. And Gurudev gave the direction, gave instruction at that time to put his japa mala on his chest. Because Rishabdev was lying on his chest. Put his japa mala on his chest and instructed to, I believe, Gurudev went running. Buddha to go and get Charanamrita and the Bengali Bhagavad Gita edition, and put those on his chest. So put the Gita on his chest, and Gurudev instructed just with that little spoon from the Panchapadwa spoon that goes into it, to put some drops of Charanamrita in his mouth, not that it would choke him, not pouring into his mouth, but just so that in his lips and in his tongue, in his mouth, some charanamrita. And Gurudev gave this direction. And we are around and just quietly, not singing, but quietly chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, like this. And Mandakini there, seated, very caringly taking care. And Rishabdev left from his body sweetly. We could see sweet disappearance from his body in the presence of Guru. And this was his prayer. This was his wish, you can say. His desire was to leave his body in Navadvip, in the presence of Srila Gurudev. And that indeed happened. And the law of averages actually says that he would have left his body in Calcutta and in the presence of Gurudev. We don't know. Because first of all, he came to Calcutta, and then he outlived his what do they have on on the carton of food you get on the sell by date or something, expiry date. He outlived his 2 weeks expiry date with Gurudev, because Gurudev was in Calcutta at that time, so he wanted to stay with him. And then Gurudev sent him to Nabadi, so I will follow in a few days. And of course, Gurudev did follow in a few days. But this was after the 2 weeks, this maybe 3 weeks or so in Calcutta. And then he continued to live in Nabadi. So he was in Nabadi and with Gurudev when he passed away. And Gurudev mentioned this. By the way, others have also called to Gurudev and said, "Oh, I'm dying. Can I come to the temple?" And Gurudev said, "Please, you manage where you are. Take proper medical attention where you are. We can't give that attention. And my blessings are with you." So it's exceptional. There are many exceptional things in Gurudev's pastimes. This is one of those exceptional things. And just one comment about that article that Achyutananda Prabhu gave. Goswami Maharaj, he also makes it clear that that article is Achyutananda Prabhu's description of what Guru Maharaj said, because there are 1 or 2 expressions in there when we read them. We think, oh, but they're not, that's not exactly the words of Guru Maharaj, and there are some, 1 or 2 quite un-Guru Maharajish expressions, and rather American expressions, which is that. And Goswami Maharaj does point out that, yes, the substance is there, the teaching is there, but it's his retelling of what Guru Maharaj told to him. So we must be a little bit aware of that sometimes. There's a difference between like a direct transcription and, oh, I just was seeking with Guru Maharaj, this is what he said, and us saying it ourselves. So just to add that little sidebar to that article. But that article touched many people. And you see, when we hear from the devotees, there are things, and also hear directly, as we've just heard from a hearing from the devotees. There are so many hidden things in the lives of the devotees, in the lives of Gurudev, which come out, which we wouldn't otherwise hear or know about. So all these wonderful things.
I'm very glad to know that. First time I heard it, I was told he was recording it. But Maharaj, do you know of a place in any of the books of Guru Maharaj where the same question or the same discussion, which is in the answer to?
I would honestly have to just recap the article and then give a comment. I honestly can't specifically be clear enough in my own brain. I'm not Goswami Maharaj. I'm not clear enough in my own brain of the whole theme of it to say another place where it may be.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the way we can remember that year is because it was 2000. That was the year that he passed.
Oh, I see. I was trying, which year? I was thinking 2000. Okay, 2000.
So since this is 2024, then it's the 24th anniversary.
Oh my goodness, it feels like yesterday. And by the way, just another thing that happened after the so Rishabdev passed away, and then we have to make arrangement for what? No, now as Gurudev said, dead body. He would say this when he would hear the processions going down the street, which we'd hear quite regularly sometimes. Then he said, "Oh, dead body going down the street." So then the body in India, then when somebody dies, when they leave their body is cremated basically as soon as possible. It's if they die in the morning, it's created before sunset. This is the system. And so then we need to make arrangement. And Acharya Maharaj is there. Acharya Maharaj is a very capable manager. And Gurudev giving instruction to Acharya Maharaj what to do. And Acharya Maharaj says, yes. And he goes to arrange the pickup truck. Pickup truck means it's the kind of truck, I don't know, different countries have different meaning. What is a truck? Not a great big vehicle, but the vehicle where you flat back and you can put the stretcher onto the back, and then with the devotees go to the burning ghat. And this way. So, of course, we had to get the formalities, the doctor, the certificate, death certificate, and that needed to be taken. And the doctor had been looking after him. This is all done. But then Acharya Maharaj, he couldn't get any kind of vehicle, whether it was a flat back truck or a flat back this or the tractor with a trailer or, anything like this. And and Gurudev later on, he said, Acharya Maharaj, he can do anything, but he cannot get a truck. Then we have to, then Gurudev said, then you go to the bamboo, you make the stretcher, and then you carry to the burning ghat this way. And so his last journey, so then on the stretcher, came in front of Guru Maharaj Samadhi, came in front of the deities, and then went absolutely traditional way, going along the street with the bamboo and the Haribols, the chanting of Haribol, as they go into the burning ghat. And Gurudev commented later, he said, that's how he wished to go. He wanted to go in this way. And so Acharya Maharaj can do anything. Krishna didn't give an opportunity to get a flat back truck. And so he went to the ghat that way. I did not go to the ghat. We had our service there, but other devotees went chanting kirtan, the final journey, as it were, of the body. Anyway, wonderful things. And we remember Mandakini Devi, so capable to look after him. Hare Krishna.
She felt so blessed. One funny thing she told me that Srila Gurudev was asking her what she wanted to be served at the Remembrance Festival. And she didn't know exactly what to say, but Gurudev kept saying, whatever his favorite foods are, he can have those now. There's no restriction. And I think it was Gurudev who suggested vanilla ice cream. He said, now he can have vanilla ice cream. And so she had no idea that there was any around, but she accepted that. And then shortly after that, she was still seated with Gurudev, and the phone rang, and it was somebody asking him how to take care of their deities. They had some small deities in their family. And Gurudev said the things which Mandakini was expecting him to say, you can offer incense and flowers and whatever you prepare, you can offer that. And he said, and vanilla ice cream. And so she could tell the people who, wherever in the world they were, must have been quite a surprise.
Beautiful. Another angle to see Gurudev's nature, another exposure of his sweetness and his humor and his very personal dealings, personality and personal.
Yes, yes.
So as it's, I know that as it is Rishabdev whose disappearance day, it's also Shyamananda whose disappearance day. And we have Paramananda with us. So perhaps Paramananda would like to give us a few minutes on reflection of Shyamananda and his disappearance day today. Om
Didn't Govinda Maharaj also said after witnessing the passing of Rishabdev Prabhu that we do not know with whom we are associating?
Definitely, he said, and there it's not we heard it from somebody who heard it from somebody, got more changed. He definitely said it, yes.
Because it was quite uncommon and extremely auspicious event. So Govinda Maharaj observed that very carefully and thought about it and made that comment.
Yes.
And that tale about Rishabha Prabhu's disappearance always reminded me about Haridas Thakur's disappearance. Very much so. And when we say, whoa, this is a high thing to compare to. But remembering Govinda Maharaj, we do not know with whom we're associating. Really, we don't. So it is absolutely justified to talk about Haridas Thakur and Rishabdev Prabhu's disappearance. And those who haven't heard about disappearance of Haridas Thakur, please do read the chapter that is called The Passing of Haridas Thakur in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then you will get a bigger, maybe deeper understanding of that. And something else Kumkumdili was saying. Oh, about the necessity. Srila Govinda Maharaj once said about how not to pick the place and the type of service. And it was a wonderful comment by Srila Govinda Maharaj. He just asked the devotees, what is the difference between devotion, between service and a pious activity? And then few different questions came forward, the answers came forward. And then Govinda Maharaj said, actually, service means you're satisfied, you're doing what is necessary according to the desire of the Vaishnava, higher Vaishnava. If you're fulfilling his desires and following his instructions and endeavoring in that way, that will be service. And the result will be bhakti, devotion. And if you do something, but it is not according to the desire of the Vaishnava, but nevertheless you think, oh, I will do this, and I will do that, or I go here, or I go there. You're deciding according to your own estimations and your own desires and preferences, then that will be a pious activity, and it will bring you a good karma, but no devotion. It was an interesting observation, and really that's a clear definition. And this is what is the difference between service and some pious activities. So wherever, and we're talking about Sharanagati, so this is one of the aspects of Sharanagati, and we hear how Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes it. He does not care where he is going to be, in what kind of body he's going to be, what circumstances. Just he's praying, Lord, please make sure, let me be born somewhere where I can be useful to you, near where the Vaishnavas are, so I can be useful to them. So I can be engaged in the service to you and to them in any type of body. So that is my only wish. There is no other wish. And a similar way, Prahlad Maharaj expresses his desire when he's questioned by Nrisimhadev, and Nrisimhadev is saying, so what kind of boon would you like to get? And he said, I'm not a trader. All I desire is to loving service to you. So if you can grant me that, then I'm very happy. And also how Rishabdev Prabhu recognized Srila Gurudev, or Srila Guru Maharaj, even without seeing him. And then Maharaj commented about that was Achyutananda Swami's narration of what he heard about from Srila Guru Maharaj in his own words. That tells how powerful was Guru Maharaj, that even though that message came through someone who might have changed his, maybe there was some distortion of the idea to some degree, or maybe different words were used. Yet the message was so powerful that Rishabdev could understand that it is coming directly from his spiritual master. And remembering Srila Guru Maharaj, he said, our interest lies in absolute truth, and I will bow down to whomever and any direction it is coming from. This is Guru Maharaj's words, more or less. I'm not saying this is the exact words, but Madhusudana Maharaj may correct me. So that's what I wanted to say on that subject. On parikrama, wherever you go, Maharaj, you always go on parikrama. And recently we've been talking, I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about parikramas. And then he said that, oh, I'm actually quite surprised that Madhusudana Maharaj, being in Europe, haven't gone to Santiago de Compostela pilgrimage, which takes about I'm not telling you to go, Maharaj, just keep that in mind. But I heard it's very nice. And it takes about 2 weeks or a month, I forgot. Maybe there's a shorter version, a shortcut. But yes, now is a good time, by the way.
Now is a good time.
I mean, obviously the summertime is a good time, or early autumn. And like Maharaj said, I actually was quite fortunate that from very early age, I started going on different parikramas, first with the ISKCON devotees, then later on with the Mat devotees. And all of them are unique and memorable. I cannot compare which one is better, which one is, I wouldn't do that. But I have to say that one of my sweetest memories are going on parikrama with Madhusudana Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Really, it is. And it's always in a smaller group of the devotees by some reason, some special blessing from the Lord. But yes, and we can talk about it a lot, but the time is very short. And Maharaj Shyamananda Prabhu, today is his disappearance.
Disappearance. I think I have to look it up.
No,
It's his.
Shyamananda,
I'm pretty sure. Yes.
he was one of the.
Yes. Confirmed.
One of the three. Some in ISKCON society, they like to refer to them as the original book distributors. Shyamananda, Srinivas, and Narottam Das Thakur. And all three of them, they were under the care of Srila Jiva Goswami, and they were given to Srila Jiva Goswami by different Vaishnavas who are actual gurus of those divine personalities. Like Narottam Das Thakur, Lokanath Das Goswami, Srinivas Acharya, who was Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Shyamananda Prabhu, it was Gauridas Pandit. Yes, was it Gauridas? No, Hridoy Chaitanya. So the Gauridas Pandit was his grand guru. So Hridoy Chaitanya Prabhu. So they studied with Srila Jiva Goswami in that very place where by divine will, the temple of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat manifested, and where one of the eternal bhajan places of Srila Guru Maharaj manifested. So it is right there on the grounds of our temple where the ashram used to be, and as Maharaj knows very well, and Kumkumdid and others were sharing it with Radha Damodar temple, the grounds. But this is the grounds of Srila Jiva Goswami's ashram, we can say. So they were studying there and doing all sorts of services under his direction. And at that time, he was known as Dukhi Krishna Das, which is a very uncommon name. And there are different ideas. How did he come by this name, and what is the true meaning of this name? Because Dukhi means unhappy or sad. So he's a sad Krishna Das. It's unique. Everything about, I have to make it very clear. Everything about Shyamananda is extremely, let's just say, one of a kind. There is only one Shyamananda. And so he was a Dukhi Krishnadas. And one of his services was to clean the places, sweep the places, and serve the places of rasa dance of Krishna and Srimati Radharani and all the gopis. And interestingly, there is this place where which is considered to be the place where he served, near our temple in Vrindavan, but Guru Maharaj refers to another place. And I double check, I actually not double, I quadruple checked that. He refers to a place in Vraja, which is quite astonishing too. It's quite far away from Vrindavan, where the ashram used to be. And I'm thinking maybe it's also connected to the theory of contraction of the Dham for the sake of the seva. Otherwise, how? It takes like an hour, maybe plus hour and a half on motor rickshaw to get there. And how Shyamananda would just end up there, do his service, and then come back to Jiva Goswami's ashram. Inconceivable. But Guru Maharaj refers to that. And I think, I don't want to say the word or the name of the place because I forgot at the moment, but it's certainly not the place near our temple. Anyhow, there are many rasa stalis where Krishna performed rasa dance. I mean, infinite places, actually. And one day he was sweeping, cleaning the place, and then he found Nupur, which is ankle bell. What is it, Maharaj? Or some decoration that...
Yes, like a bracelet that goes around the ankle that ladies wear.
Yes, you can still see them in India, like local traditional ladies, they're still wearing it. And when he touched it, he was overwhelmed with ecstasy and divine love. We can only use these words, but we have no clue what kind of feeling he was experiencing at that moment. And then he understood, some realization came to him that it must not belong to none other than Srimati Radharani herself. And then he kept it. And of course, Srimati Radharani very soon find out that Annapur is missing. And she sends her right hand helper, Lalita Sakhi, to look for it. But Annapur is nowhere to be found. But instead, there's this very humble Vaishnava sweeper or cleaner standing there. And then Lalita sees he's holding Annapur in his hand, and she approaches. And then understanding again, these are divine personalities. I mean, who else would recognize that Nupur belongs to Radharani, or a person who is approaching him directly and closely related to her? So Dukhi Krishnadas is saying that I will give it back, but I would like to give it back to your mistress, to whom it belonged to directly. Could you please arrange that meeting? Again, it's one of a kind. Their mood is not to be imitated. This is not, we have to be very cautious about this whole narrative. And then, just long story short, Srimati Radharani appears and she gives the blessing to Dukhi Krishnadas. He returns to Nupur, and then she changes his name to Shyamananda, and then touches his forehead with that Nupur, and that Nupur leaves the mark, very unusual tilak. Sometimes in Vrindavan we see this tilak called Shyamananda tilak. And then Shyamananda returns to the ashram, tells what happened to Jiva Goswami, which is mentioned by Govinda Maharaj several times. Jiva Goswami takes with caution his narrative. He is taking with big caution. Is this true? Isn't that just his imagination? So it is mentioned there. But observing his uncommon symptoms, he soon realizes that yes, it has happened. He actually got the divine darshan of Srimati Radharani herself. And then, again, long story short, news travel fast. And then Dukhi Krishnadas, Hridoy Chaitanya in West Bengal hears the story that Jiva Goswami reinitiated Dukhi Krishnadas, and now he is known as Shyamananda, which is a Vaishnava aparat. And also considering Vaishnava etiquette, Hridoy Chaitanya is much senior to Jiva Goswami. So he travels to Vrindavan to solve this situation. He wants to know for sure because he doesn't want to offend Jiva Goswami. He knows his stature, so he goes there and then he challenges Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami ignores the challenge. Instead, he tells to Shyamananda, you go and you tell the truth to your guru. Which is also commented by Srila Gurudev, that it is one of the most inconceivable things that when Jiva Goswami ignores Hridoy Chaitanya's challenge. And then he goes there, and of course he's been chastised by his guru, and guru is in disbelief. And he's still in this belief that day, and at night when he's resting, then Lalita Sakhi and maybe someone else appear in his dream, maybe Srimati Radharani herself, I do not know details. And they said that we would like to take him to our camp. And originally, Hridoy Chaitanya, he was the follower of Nityananda. So he was in a Sakya group, inclined to Sakya Rasa. And they're claiming him to be one of the Manjari in the group of the very close servitors to a divine couple. And again, Srila Govinda Maharaj and Guru Maharaj himself commented, this is a very uncommon case. Like I said in the beginning, there is no one like Shyamananda or Dukhi Krishna Das. And when that happened, everything is harmonized. So Hridoy Chaitanya pays obeisances to his disciple pays obeisances to him. Everything is settled, and he apologizes to Jiva Goswami for thinking bad about him or throwing a challenge to him. So everything is perfectly and happily ending. And today is his disappearance. And upon arrival to, as we know, they're carrying the books of Goswamis upon the request of Srila Jiva Goswami. The books are getting stolen. Then Srinivasacharya recovers the books. Narottam Das Thakur organizes the first festival for Gaur Purnima celebration. Mahaprabhu's appearance celebration, Gaur Purnima in Keturigram. And in the meantime, Shyamananda's Prabhu Datta Desh, or service area given to him by his guru, was Utkal, Orissa. So he's serving in Orissa and nourishing all the devotees present there, the older devotees and not so old devotees and very young devotees. So he was the acharya of that area, and they all meet together during the Keturi festival. And it's described that people were absolutely astonished to see the dance of Shyamananda and Srinivasacharya, and the singing, and hearing the singing of Narottam Das Thakur. This is a very long story in a very short form. Jai Srila Shyamananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Shripat Rishabdev Ki Jai. Today is the Sunday here, so we're already in that day, Kumkumali. We're in the future.
No future, no past. Live in the living present. Hare Krishna. All right, dear ones. And 2 chats in the chat box. I haven't been given too much attention. Ganga Leela Didi sending Haribol and lots of gifts, and Narottam Nitai sending Govinda Govinda. All right, so dear devotees, the days, the hours, the weeks, the moments, they go on, and let us continue also going on. And definitely these days, they are meant for giving specific remembrance to the pastimes of the devotees of the Lord and the relevant things which take place those days, and with the overall picture that we are under the shelter of these perfect souls who are coming to give us the opportunity to make our life successful. So let us see the beautiful example of the Vaishnavas that have gone before, and Guru Maharaj and Gurudev are giving us this opportunity to make our lives successful in the sense of not by our own pushing power, but by making ourselves fit to be taken into the upper world by the grace of those devotees who are there. So we need to show ourselves willing. Somebody gave an example. We shouldn't be going to Goloka Vrindavan, like resisting and crying. We should be going there willing. Take me, I want to go. A mother taking the child somewhere. And we saw it actually in the park in Rome. Mother taking the child, and the child, red face and crying, but the mother's taking, and then the other brother, is going along quite happily licking in his vanilla ice cream, maybe, I don't know, licking an ice cream and happily walking along. And the other one, he's going to have to go anyway, but he's going and screaming and crying. Oh, so we should make ourselves fit to be taken. Otherwise, we'll be left here again for another cycle of birth and death to see if we get it right. But this is our time. All right, in remembrance of the great Vaishnavas, in remembrance of our spiritual masters. Jai Shri Gurudev Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rapak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada Om Vishnupad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila and Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. Srila Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. And our whole group Anuga Guru Bhaga Ki Jai. Sri Shyamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Jiva Goswami Ki Jai. Sri Chad Goswami means 6 Goswami Ki Jai. And Jai Shri Nitai Chaitanya Dev Ki Jai. Navadip Saparika Shri Guru Gauranga Ganpata Govinda Sundar Ki Jai. Jai Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Aparadaman Shri Koladip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Ki Jai. And Jai Shri Gangamayi Ki Jai. Shri Yamuna Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. All the assembled Vaishnavas Ki Jai, all the present day Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanand, Hari Hari. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Evacha, Patitanam Pavana, Vaishnave, Namo Namo. And Dandavat to
Bhakti
you
Ranjan
all.
Madhusudan Maharaj Ki Jai.
And Dandavat to you all individually, both on Zoom and on Facebook, those who are seeing the recorded version too. My obeisances and appreciation to each other. Hare Krishna, Ami Ashchi. Hare Krishna.